Hello, Elmont Library. I'm Matpreneur. This month, March 2021, is Women's History Month. And with Elmont Library Young Adults, we are highlighting several women who are making an impact right now. That's why the series is called Women of Today. And today we have a great person for you. Forget that she's a woman. She's a great person. She has a soul that is touching everyone. And it's just been an amazing thing to see. I want to introduce you, Almont, to Principal Shine, Principal Lakeisha Williams. Principal Williams, hello.
Hello, and thank you so much for having me on the show today. I am Lakeisha Williams, principal of Shine through 99.
That's a great name. If you think about the universe and things happen at the right time, your school name is Shine 399. Imagine if you was in PS 392. It'll be a whole day. But the universe made it happen that you landed at 399 and you have a great nickname, Shine, which really, I mean, it's an awesome name. I cannot stop saying it. Shine 399 is just awesome. And it shows you how the universe is aligning you with things from my perspective. What do you think?
Absolutely, I agree. It was definitely a strategic decision in terms of branding the school, and it has taken off. I oftentimes say, if folks don't necessarily know my name, Lakeisha Williams, they know that's Shine. They know Shine. So I'm actually claiming it, and so as I continue to evolve myself and do different things, I'm like, I'm Principal Shine on Lakeisha Williams.
I love it. So you're a principal of PS 399. That's a school in Flatbush, Brooklyn. Let's go backwards. You're the principal now. How did you get there?
Oh, wow. My educational career spans back 23 years. So I've been educated for 23 years. I started out as a paraprofessional, which is a teacher's assistant. I knew I wanted to teach, but I was not thinking anything on this level. But again, when you just show up and you're authentic in who you are and what you do, my principal at that time, she saw the impact with the children and the families and my colleagues. And so she's...
Continue, principal.
Okay. So my principal at the time, she saw my interaction and my impact on the children and the families and my colleagues, the other teachers in the school, because my attitude was, we have to do what we have to do for our children. So if you want to come and meet with me to discuss lesson planning, to discuss data, to discuss, family involvement, I could talk to you all day long, but I don't have time for anything else. And I was making an impact on the entire school community. And so the principal at the time, she was like, no, I think you ought to think about some other things. And so it was like she saw that gift in me. And that's what opened up my eyes to, being an administrator. And, as I say, the rest is history. I became an assistant principal first, and just working with the children and again, the families and the staff. I started focusing more so on special education, because a lot of times when people think about that world, they think, just students with IEPs. It still has a lot of stigma attached to it. But for me, I looked at it as, you have to really know and examine the special education continuum, because that's what it is. It's a continuum, which starts with the gen ed, general education students, general education teachers, general education curriculum. So special education is really about, what are you doing for all children across the school community? And so when I approached it from that angle and worked with my school community from that angle, then, more people began to embrace it. And we saw it as, honestly, like everyone has an IEP, because you have to make sure that every child is moving and making progress. And then I actually took a position as a special education administrator, and I was servicing District 17, 18, and 22. And I met the superintendent from District 17, and he wanted me on his district team. And so then I became what's called a TDEC, which basically meant that I was coaching and working with the 32 principals in District 17. And so we knew that the principal of the school was retiring. And again, just the way life is, we were sitting at the table. Oh, we need somebody strong for that school. Like, who we're going to put in that school? And the superintendent was, kind of worried about it. And it ended up being me for school.
Crazy. That is amazing.
But it's a beautiful thing, this is year 3 for me now in the school. And, I needed them just as much as I feel they needed me. So again, just alignments and assignments. So everything definitely worked.
Yes. I love it. So this is Women's History Month. This is Women of Today. Why education for you? Why?
Again, I always share with children. I have 2 sons, biological sons, and I share with them, and I share with all children that I encounter. Go with your passions. What are you most passionate about? And again, as early as I can remember, like even being a little child playing with my cousins, I was always the teacher. I was always the teacher. And even being in elementary school, my principal at the time, she had a program where the older children could mentor the younger children. And so I did that. I don't know if maybe it makes a difference that I'm not only the oldest child born to my parents, but I'm the oldest on both sides. So I was the oldest granddaughter, oldest niece. Like I was just the oldest. So just like I feel like I was born to lead, born to give back and born to help. My younger siblings, my younger cousins. So it's just a natural part of who I am.
That's dope. So that's perfect. What women have inspired you on this journey in life and in your job?
When I think about my journey, right? Because I like to tell people my job is principal, but I am Lakeisha Williams, right? And so when I think about the journey of Lakeisha Williams, having a mother my mother just loves her children and her family unconditionally. She is our greatest cheerleader. And I oftentimes say to people, that's where I got that hope from. Because growing up in East New York, Brownsville, and Bed-Stuy, we didn't have a lot of financial resources, we were poor. But the thing is, I didn't realize that we were poor when I was younger because we had love. We had a lot of love, and again, my parents just instilled in us this work ethic, make sure you go to school, make sure, you do the right thing, help other people. I grew up in that. And so I definitely attribute my success, going back to my foundational years and my upbringing with my family, to my parents and my mom in particular, because like I said, just that unconditional love that she has for her children and her families. I also think about my grandmother, my late grandmother, who my family is originally from the South. And my grandmother came to New York City in the 60s on a sleep-in job. So, but families were large back then. We know that, right? 15, 16 kids. So for me, I looked at that as I was growing up because I was always interested in stories. What's the story? And so in speaking with my grandmother, she had an abusive marriage, so I always felt like she was ahead of her time, right? Because she was like, you know what? This is not right. There has to be something else to life. There has to be something different. So I feel like she had the courage that was necessary to leave her marriage, to leave her large family, and to come to a city that she knew nothing about, but she knew that she wanted a different life for herself and her children. That's what she knew. So I also draw upon that and that resilient nature that my grandmother had. When I think about, just women who are on a larger scale, right? I think about Beyonce. Number one, I just love music and I love dancing. I love all of that, right? But the thing that I enjoy about Beyonce is her continued evolution, right? her quest to continue to be better and do better, and her willingness to work with others, right? Because sometimes women, we can be a little funny sometimes, right? But
Men too.
But I love the fact that Beyonce's like, okay, you know what? Like, you're good, you're hot, you're doing this. Let's do something together. I love that about her, right? Because there's enough wins for all of us. Like, we can all shine. And so I love that about her. When I think about Michelle Obama, to me, Michelle Obama represents a woman having it all, right? You can have a successful family. You can have a successful career. You could be with your husband and 30 something years later, he still adores you. So when I
that
think
is nice.
Yeah, so when I think about Michelle Obama, like that's what inspires me, about her beauty, her intelligence and her willingness to rise above, right? The negativity and the ignorance no matter what, right? So I definitely gleaned that from her. But when I think about my everyday life, there are people who are very close with me and they know my story, they know my journey. And so I refer to them as Team Embassy, right? Because those are women who were there with me through it all, because I've definitely had some challenges and they believed in me even before the shine, right? So I'm definitely inspired by them and I love all of them. And also my OSG family, again, just a group of dynamic women, educators, and but also from different walks of life, and our ability to come together to just love one another and support one another and uplift one another.
I want to piggyback. How great is it that New York City has a new interim schools chancellor, and she's a woman, and she's a woman of color. How did that make you feel when you saw that news flash?
Listen, I'm like, women, Black women especially, are winning right now.
We're winning right now.
You better make sure you have a Black woman on your team, several of us.
I'm excited because she's from the Queens, so I'm like, and she's from Jamaica, Queens, I believe. So that's really cool to see someone come from my neighborhood, our neighborhood, and get to that level. We always talk about that. What's next? How we breaking these barriers? Let's break these barriers, and and you have to be ready for these roles and for these positions, for that head seat at the table. You have to be ready way before they come knock on the door. And I'm glad you were ready.
Absolutely. But that's what happens when you're walking in your purpose, right? When you're walking in your purpose, you are ready. You know what they say, that God doesn't call the qualified, he qualifies the call, right? And I just believe that when you're walking in your purpose, it's inevitable. So again, when I go back to, because again, I went through some challenges, and the old saying of, they tried to bury me, but they didn't realize that I was a seed.
I like that. I'm gonna use that. Use that. That's dope. They tried to burn me, but they didn't know I was seed ready to sprout.
Right. That's right.
That is dope. So let me ask you a question. I've noticed you've been out there. You do a lot of giving back. What does that mean to you, especially during a time of COVID and the different challenges we're facing in our community alone? How much fun has it been giving back?
I have to say that I absolutely love it. I absolutely love it. And again, going back to being in elementary school, I was giving back because I didn't have to give up my recess time to go tutor the children in kindergarten. So it's always been a part of me, like in raising my two boys, we've always gone and volunteered and did different things together. Becoming a principal, though, I just realized it just became so much more apparent and glaring how it's like I always knew it, but once I became a principal, it was like, no, like I absolutely must make sure that this becomes a community effort, right? And in order to impact the lives of children, because for me as a principal, it's way beyond helping kids pass the test. So much more than that for me, right? But if we want better schools, we have to have better communities. And again, going back to walking in your purpose, this is in me. Like, this is who I am. And so even when I think about being chosen by that higher power for Shine 399, right? I was allowed, like, I'm able to use my natural gifts in order to help move the school along. In my opinion, you cannot be an effective educator without connecting with the community at large.
That is so true.
Right? When we talk about the system, right? You can't change things behind your desk. Can't change things behind your desk, right? And if I want to improve the lives of children, I have to work with the families. I have to improve their lives, right? Which means I have to be out and about in the community doing different things to support that. And especially during the global pandemic, like, our communities need a lot of support. So again, how could you not be there? Like, that's what I see. Like, how could you not want to give back? And we recently did we had a student government panel. We had several local elected officials and community leaders who joined in, including, Eric Adams, our current, I'm in Brooklyn, so Brooklyn Borough President,
yes,
mayor. But we did something. We had our children do an activity for Inauguration Day where they wrote letters to the president and vice president, because I believe in leadership, right, for children as well. So their letters the theme was, I am the solution. So what are some things that you're concerned with, and how do you feel, we should go about changing it? And from children, like, my children spoke about safety. My children spoke about Black Lives Matter. My children spoke about food insecurity issues. So again, if I'm trying to, yes, children have to learn in school. Absolutely. Like, that goes without saying. But when you look at Maslow's hierarchy of needs, right, you can't get to self-actualization, which is at the top of the pyramid, without taking care of the basics. So if my kids have concern with eating and feeling safe, then guess what? That's impacting their ability to do their very best. So it behooves me to lead in this manner, which is why I am a community social justice leader. Making sure I do whatever is necessary to positively impact the lives of my children. So I'm like, listen, my name is Lakeisha, and it's the 3 L's. I'm going to make sure that my children know that they are loved, right? I'm going to make sure that my children are learning. And I'm going to make sure that my children are the new wave of leadership, because it is all leadership. We have to make sure that we continue to dismantle this status quo and dismantle this system, right? So my children are also being developed as the future change agents of our society.
I just want to say thank you for doing that for those kids. I mean, I told you before, I was born in Brooklyn. I was raised in East Flatbush. I went to the Boys and Girls Club around the corner from your school in Flatbush. It touched me like, oh man. And we're gonna drop it out the bag. We did a coding event one time. Now we're gonna work on something with after school with coding. And I'm excited. Now I'm excited because I'm going back to my old neighborhood, and I'm getting a chance to impact their lives in the way that I can. And it helps elevate the school, it helps elevate your leadership, I believe. The more people that can chip in and make you into an octopus with all these tentacles offering these services, it has to make us feel good to see Principal Shannon advocating the way you do, and raising the awareness and just participating in community affairs. And like I said, thank you. With people like you, we're going to keep changing that story, keep changing those results. People say test scores don't matter. Well, that's what we need right now. We need to let our kids can test. I'm sorry. I want to see some good test scores coming from our Black and brown mainly schools, right? And it's disappointing to me out there. So when I see a principal, a leader like you, I just want to keep clapping. I want to put my hand up behind your back, say I'm here if you need me. And like I said, thank you.
Much appreciated.
You kind of answered my next question, so I'm not going to ask it. My next question was going to be, what makes you a great advocate for our school children? But you answered that. How can we show appreciation to women in our lives from your point of view?
Before I get to that question, when let me just add on to the advocate for children, right?
Yes.
I love my children. And so a lot of times people like to say scholars, students. I feel like they're my children too. And I tell my families that oftentimes, I said, when you decide to bring your child to my school, they become my children too. Right? I love them, and not only do I love them because sometimes people say they love the kids, but I love them enough to want the best for them, right? I want the best for our children. And I love them enough to make sure that I am doing what needs to be done so that they can have the best for them, right? And in order for that to happen, that means I have to think beyond the school building, and I have to think beyond the school date. So when you think about what's contractual, right? Even being on this show this morning, like I don't have to do these things, right? But for me, I see it as a bigger part of the work in terms of improving our community overall, right? Which is going to ultimately help our children. So even though people may say they love the children, they gotta just take a look at like, okay, what are their actions? Because love is an action word, right? So what actions are we taking in order to make sure that love is at the highest levels possible? So I just wanted to add on to that.
I agree. Learning, love, leadership. I agree. Thank you. So how can we show appreciation to a woman in our life? And if you could give us an answer for the teens, how can teens show appreciation to the woman in their lives? You have children, right?
Yes,
and
of course.
Besides your school children, how do your kids show you love? What have they done to show you love? That if there's one thing that you could pick out from them,
they spend time with me.
I like that.
They spend
Face it.
Yes, they spend time with me. My son the other day just sent me like a nice message because someone had like featured me for Women's History. And, he was like, oh, that's my mother. Like, just being so proud of me. Like, we need that, too, from teens.
Yes.
So, just showing the women in your lives that you love them, spend time with them. Let them know that you're proud of them. And we don't need a lot. Like, it doesn't have to be expensive. Like, even if you write a nice little note, right? Here are the reasons why I appreciate you so much. Those things really and truly go a long way.
Facts. Thank you. That is dope. I gotta do better. I'm trying to be more appreciative to all the women in my life. I like to think I'm doing a good job, but we all know we can do a little bit better, right?
Yes.
We do a little bit better.
Because I know a lot of times, women, have this like, I'm so strong. We need help. So, don't wait for us to ask for help. Just say, listen, I know you got this going on. I'm here to help you. Let me know what you need me to do. I'm here to help. Like, don't wait for us to ask you to help. Offer to help.
And honestly, this past year I've met, because of the pandemic, I've met and done volunteer work with a lot of great women that are now in my circle, and I feel so great that they're in my circle. And I try my best actually to, if they need something and they put a public call out there, I try to step up if I can every time, and it's been great having that vision of a woman, giving back, working for the kids. You went to the book giveaway the other day, and really, really great to be in that circle and feel that love and give that love. So it's amazing. It's amazing. So, Principal, we're Principal Lakeisha Williams, Principal Shine On, Principal 399 Shine. Imparting words for our teens in Elmont.
I would say, focus on your passions. And I oftentimes like to say this to the youth because sometimes, it's like, oh, what do I want to do, when I grow up or whatever. So I'm going to always stay focused on your passions. The money will come, right? But if you're passionate about what it is that you want to do, set some goals for yourself. Make sure that you are resilient in crushing those goals, and know that the truth of the matter is nobody owes you anything. It's your dream. It's your dream. You owe yourself, right, to make sure that you do the necessary things in order to accomplish all of your goals that you have set for yourself. And in this time, everybody's focusing on entrepreneurship, which I feel is definitely a good thing. But again, also know that it's steps to that'll lead you to success. Making sure that you're disciplined with your time, you're disciplined with your finances, and you're disciplined enough to make sure that you are building relationships and your network. We know we have a mutual friend who always speaks about your network is your net worth. So we have to make sure that our youth know and understand the importance of building those relationships and sustaining those relationships by not only asking people to help you, but also making sure that you are a support to others always.
I love it. That is the truth. It's full circle. It's full circle. Walk your walk, and then align yourself with those who are walking their walks that fit into your walk. And next thing you know, you're all over the place. You're doing good work. People are feeling the love, right?
That's right. That's the way it could be done. I feel like 2020 was definitely a rough season for all of us. And the thing about 2020 is, we know that in life there's seasons, right? We all have our seasons. But I feel like 2020, like we all went through the same season simultaneously, right? That's 2020 special kind of year, right? But at the same time, it also gave us an opportunity, I believe, to just grow in terms of humanity, because I also see so many beautiful things that came as a result of people just coming together and loving up on one another. So now we're in 2021, and I feel like the Kwanzaa principles, like I'm seeing it in action in 2021, and I love it. Personally, I love it.
I love it too. I feel it. I love it. I'm excited what we're going to do this year and going forward, because we can't turn back the clock. We set a path and we set a workway that we have to keep going forward with what we've started, what we're going to keep doing. And this right here is a piece of what happened in 2020 is you and myself getting together and working on some things and just supporting each other. That's how I can contribute. So I encourage everyone to find out what can you contribute to supporting your team and your community, and then just pumping your support in that whenever you can.
That's right. Definitely agree. Teamwork.
Make the dream work. Community over competition. Andre Aparicio.
All of that.
So as we close, I want to close out with a special video that some of your students made after the election of November 2020, when Vice President Kamala Harris won her seat. So before we go, can you tell us about the video? What inspired you guys to make that video?
Representation, as you said earlier, with Chancellor Porter. 2020 was a rough year for everyone. And to see that regime, come to an end, it's just sparked all different types of renewed energy. And again, I said to you, I share everything with my school community, and we're developing leadership within our children. So we all knew what was happening, and we do different things all the time with our children. And so that was just right in alignment with the things that we do. So I happened to come across that poem on social media, and I was touched by the poem, right? And I said, I'm going to do an activity with the girls when I get back to school. And that's what we did. And that video, went viral. But again, like, that's not the first thing that we did. That's not the only thing that we do.
But that video went super viral.
Yes.
Not just viral, it went super viral.
Yes. Oh yeah, it went so viral that I had people thinking that they could threaten my life.
I saw some comments in some different on Twitter or whatever, but we're not gonna worry about that. Hate is gonna be hating all the time. You can't have love without hate, so it's okay. When you're speaking truth, the power. When you're speaking truth, people want to hate.
Continue right along, and now we have some more great and wonderful things that's coming as a result of it. Shine on, brown girl. It's coming soon.
Shine on, brown girl. Elmont Library, we're with Principal Lakeisha Williams. Thank you so much for joining us. Thank you for giving us your wisdom and insight. You know, I'm partnered with Elmont Library Young Adults, and every project I do is to inspire the teens every time and our greater community. So we appreciate you stepping up and being here with us today. A woman of today, you're excelling at that, just living in your purpose today. And I fully believe if we focus on today and plan for tomorrow, we're going to be very, very successful. Principal Williams, thank you so much, and have a great rest of the Women's History Month.
Thank you so much, and thank you for having me.
Thank you.